Hello, my name is Paul Pharma. Yesterday we talked about the quality management system. So today I'm going to talk about what implementation means. So you map your business process as we discussed yesterday, but then you need to actually implement that. So I've been to different companies and they've had different approaches to this. I joined one that actually wrote the SOPs but never really implemented. They had the records that were associated with the SOPs, but the team themselves doing the work were not aware of the content of the SOPs. They just got trained in a classroom or on the job, and never really had the impact of the actual standard operating procedures themselves. I've been to other places where they've only got 4 SOPs. That was some time ago, of course, and their implementation was through direct supervision. So the supervisors, the team leads, were all the ones that were closely involved with the content from the SOPs, but most of the work was actually done based on the training. And on a daily basis, there was one oversight, one production manager, who had oversight of everything that was going on. So they were aware of the content of the SOPs. And where there's any gaps, well, they just did what they were doing anyway. So they knew what the requirements were and just continued. But these days it's more a focus on preparing the SOPs and ensuring that you have training in each of the SOPs for the people that need it. Remember, every SOP doesn't have to be trained out to every single person because they're all doing their own jobs. So how do you implement? Well, usually a matrix structure is used to work out who's required for what. When you've done your business process map, you should have already assigned roles to the different areas. And then the implementation is through training and competency assessments. Competency assessments can be done in different ways. The one that I have seen that worked probably the best was a staged-wise training implementation. So you start with your SOP and you read it. And once you've read it, you do your competency assessment, which is usually between 5 and 10 questions about the content. Then you perform the action. So these are all different stages. You perform the action, you do whatever the work is under supervision. Under supervision, you verify that you're actually doing it correctly, you've interpreted content appropriately. And then the final stage of the review for the training is doing the job independently of somebody else, but then having it verified afterwards. Now, personally, I would like to add an additional side to that, which is teaching it to somebody, because my understanding from learning methodologies is that teaching it, you actually get a better understanding than anything else. Unfortunately, that's not always possible, but theoretically it could be. In general, it stops one step before. But for me, that's a good way to implement. So what else would you expect? Well, you'd expect the documentation to reflect the status they're at. And they wouldn't be able to actually do the job independently until they completed all the training, including the independent review. So until that point, they're doing the work that they have to do, the tasks would be under supervision. But they have another problem, because under supervision, well, can you really 100% supervise a whole team that's not trained yet? No, you can't. So you have to have probably 2 people fully competent, one probably training you and another one that's supporting you to ensure that you're doing it appropriately. How long should it last? Well, SOP, half an hour to an hour, just to read it. Competency assessment, maybe another 15-20 minutes. And then doing the job. Doing the job depends on the complexity of the work. I've heard recently that there was somebody who took 5 months to get up to spec to be able to do the job himself, and that was normal. But that was because of the poorly designed quality management system. The SOPs were not specific enough. It was difficult for them to understand what they needed to do and to recall all the different information. They didn't have any checklists that they could then use to prompt them to make sure they're doing it right. So that's it for me for today. Quality Management System and its Implementation. It's Paul Palmer. Thank you. Bye-bye.